And it's a beautiful Saturday morning at the Newark Heath Airport, Terry Treniff International, and look at this beautiful IFR weather. Great day. Time to head over to the hangars and see what's going on, do some hangar flying. So this is what we do when the weather's crappy out, we hangar fly. Here's the whole gang hanging out here.
Yeah, the whole gang hanging out.
What's that?
I got a 10 black,
Oh, yeah?
and I tried to film with it in the cockpit, and it just shook all over the place.
Really?
Just like this constantly.
This one's got stabilizer on it.
Maybe mine wasn't turned on.
That could be.
Or it's not right. Because we were straight and level, and it was just jerking anyway.
Oh.
We weren't doing a thing.
Huh.
Just flying straight and level.
Yeah, it should be. Should just stay level.
Yeah.
See if you stabilize it. You can't turn that off.
Yeah, I think it's stabilizing incorrectly.
Some of us might be wanted.
I was in Turkey in '97 for Christmas.
Yeah.
And then '97 summer, I did Saudi.
That was at Insulet?
Yeah, Insulet. And then I did Prince Sultan Air Base in the middle of '97, in the hottest time of the year.
How long was you there?
Month.
30-day rotation?
Yeah.
Man. I like those in Panama, but I don't think I like them in the desert.
Yeah, we were wearing gloves to touch the airplane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So I don't like red either. I don't like.
Oh, yeah, let's turn the TV off. We don't need to watch.
Got it.
I could have brought a mic and speaker.
Somebody up there.
Oh, no, I can talk loud enough, trust me. So,
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm sure you all know why I invited you all here today. It's Paul Gillenwater, correct?
Gillenwater. Yep.
Gillenwater, Paul Gillenwater from the FAA, and we're here to help, as always. And you're fast program.
Yes, I'm the fast team. Mark Harden was my predecessor.
Yeah.
And he retired. I got his position. So.
Yeah, Mark was a good guy. He also presented Sam the Charles Taylor Award. So anyway, Paul, go ahead, and then we'll have a few other.
All right. Did you want to read that now, or?
Yeah, you know what? I think I will. I'll read this now, and then I'll let you go ahead. This is the letter with 3 letters. This was mine to nominate to Sam. It says, Mr. Roger A. Huff.
Yeah.
As you all know, Roger A. Huff. Soloed on 7 October 1969 to Cessna, November 3059 Sierra, Charleston Air Force Base, South Carolina. He continued his training there and earned his commercial instrument multi-engine ratings. Upon separation from the Air Force, Mr. Huff was employed as an AMT and corporate pilot for the following companies: EBCO in 1971, Guy Pole Construction, Huntington Bank, DLZ to present. The employment was without break and started at EBCO and Lane Aviation at CMH and continued to OSU at Hangar 4 to present day. Mr. Huff is known as Sam by locals and is a prolific general aviation pilot and mechanic in Central Ohio. Upon his arrival, he worked briefly at EC Aviation in Columbus, where he received his AMT and IA certificates. He purchased a Cessna 120, based it there and then at OSU. About 30 years ago, he moved his general aviation operations to Newark Heath Airport. He has been a fixture there ever since. Starting as a mechanic and ferry pilot for John Lynch air shows, Sam began a long history of aircraft restoration and experimental aircraft construction. In the ensuing years, he has completed and flown over 25 aircraft. Currently, he occupies 4 T hangars and owns 5 aircraft, and it will not stop there. Sam also serves on the board of directors at the Newark Heath Airport in Licking County. Finally, I wish to list Mr. Huff's greatest attribute. Sam has given most of his non-working time to mentor everyone he encounters. He makes himself available at VTA and is quick to answer a question or lend a hand on any project. I consider him my mentor as well. KVTA would be another underused airport if it were not for his spark of energy. For these reasons, I nominate Roger A. Sam Huff for the Wright Brothers Master Pilot Award.
Here.
Yeah.
Hey, all right.
All right, come on up. So I've known Sam since 1996, and I was just doing the math real quick in my head. That's half of your
Half the time.
already. So we all know he's gotten the Charles Taylor Master Mechanic Award about 3 years ago. Mark Harden came out and did that, and that, as we know, is U.S. citizen, 50 years in aircraft maintenance, and also allowing 20 of those years to be military. and then in good standing, high moral character, no revocations of any kind of any certificate. So I couldn't find anything as much as I could. So he's good on that one. But so then you move over to the Wright Brothers Award, and that is the same thing. It's your 50 years from your first solo, U.S. citizen. You have to be actively involved in aviation. That's kind of determined by the FAA program manager. And no revocations, high moral character, good standing in the aviation community. So proudly we say that you meet all the criteria for the award. The first thing I do is I order what's called the blue ribbon package. And it's a literal blue ribbon package. So that's about that thick. That's his maintenance, his flying history right there. That's pretty good size. I've seen them, very thin. I've seen some of them look like a book, but that's usually the airline guys. You only get this if you're getting an award or you're going to court.
So which is it?
So we're getting an award today. If you get another one of these and you've already got the 2 awards, that's trouble.
Fantastic.
So there's that one right there. You probably got one from Mark when you did your.
Yeah, I did.
Now you got 2 copies.
That's good.
All right.
Unless the government knows about you.
Yeah.
That's the government
Next
knows
thing
about.
is, this is the nomination packet. So everything in here, all the nice things that everybody said about you, the letters, the recommendations, and all the information that was turned in for you is within that packet. There's a few other items in here. The government and all their magnanimity ponies up the dough for a piece of cardstock. So this is from the FAA. That's what you get. They don't even get the pen anymore. They quit paying. They went cheap. You don't even get the pen anymore. It's hard times in America.
No gold watch.
No gold watch
No gold
for
watch.
sure. And then you have the option, your nominators do, to get you this very nice plaque. So this is the part I love. All right. Now we're going to present you first, but then we want to hear stories. So I'm going to ask a couple leading questions, and then we're going to see what you have to say. But on behalf of the FAA, Department of Transportation, I'd like to present you with the Wright Brothers Master Pilot Award for 50 years of dedicated service in aviation safety.
Fantastic.
All right. Now I'm going to sit down. I want to hear a speech, and we want to hear about your. We want to start with your first solo, and any good stories about that, and then all your flying all the way up through there. If you got any great stories, everyone likes to hear aviation stories. We are in the FBO on a Saturday morning. That's what we're supposed to do. So.
Well, I can actually say my first airplane ride was out of this airport when I was 10 years old in Luscombe. It was owned by Doc Wright. Some of you guys know Doc. That was the beginning of the whole thing. This wasn't our clubhouse down here was the FBO building at that time. And from that on, I knew what I was going to do. There was no question about that. So right out of high school, straight to the Air Force. And I haven't stopped since, basically.
10 years.
It just keeps going and going. And I'm going to keep going as far as until I can't climb in that airplane. I'm going to continue to fly. Yep. Any questions? Crazy stuff.
Just get a stool, that's all it takes.
Just get a
Get
stool.
into the plane.
Well, I can crawl up on the wing of a Cherokee.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's
Bob's got one to win.
Yeah, I can fall off.
Tell us about your first solo.
Tell us about your first solo.
That was we flew out of Charleston down to what's now called Charleston Executive, which at that time was called Johns Island, in the 150. Made a couple of landings, and all once the guy gets out and says, "Give me 2 more." He says, "Now the airplane's going to be a little bit different." Little did I know, this great big guy that was with me, that airplane was off the ground and gone before I was even ready for it. So it was a challenge in that first solo. When he got back in, I'm thinking, wow, this whole airplane performs. This big guy gets back in and we struggle back to Charleston.
How'd you get the name Sam? Tell him.
Oh, no. Well, first get there, and the first guy I'm working with, crew chief on the airplanes, when I first get there, we flew 141s out of Charleston. He says, "Now, who are you?" I told him I was. He said, "Oh, yeah, another simple-ass mechanic." I said, what? He says, you're a Sam. I said, what's that? He says, a simple as mechanic. Get over here and grease his gear. It's been Sam ever since.
Yeah, the first time I never knew his name until the Charles Taylor Award. Roger, who's Roger?
I always knew it was Sam.
Yeah.
It's always been that.
Like airplane.
See, I've been on this airport 35 years. I've been at OSU in Hangar 4 for 45 years now.
Wow.
And it was only 3 companies there. It was Geipel, Huntington, and now DLZ. Before that, it was EBCO at Lane, and we flew the Lockheed 500, the old Howard 500.
Sam, on that Sam note, I don't know if you remember this when I called the EAA looking for a tech advisor, and they wanted to know where I was based at, and I told them, and they said, well, here's a phone number of a Roger Huff. Contact Roger Huff and as a tech advisor. And so I get into, they give me a phone number, and I call him, and I said, is this Roger Huff? And he goes, yeah, Dan, this is Sam. Blew me away. I had not made that connection.
That was good.
How many hours do you have, Sam?
Around 10,000 hours, something like that, I don't know. I stopped logging it a long time ago, just enough to show currency, you know. And some of the stuff we're flying with the company right now, I'm not typed in as a captain, so I can't log any of that anyway. And as of January 1, at my age, they cut me off flying totally. So I'll just maintain the airplane from now on at OSU. That was my Christmas present from them.
Merry Christmas.
How old are you?
I'll be 75 in January.
Good for you.
Just a boy.
Yep, still trucking.
Just a boy. You're just a boy.
Yeah.
Bob thinks so.
The other funny part, when
Yes.
I first got out of the Air Force, just needed a job. I started at EC with Frank Webner. And guess who was there that started with me? Lee Teal.
Yep.
So Lee and I worked together quite a long time at EC Aviation.
Lee's still working.
Lee and I are still going.
Were you in the Aero Club when you were in the service?
Yes.
'Cause that's how you got started then.
In fact, the captain for my airplane was also my instructor at the Aero Club. He also had a Cessna 180 that I maintained for him. So we traded flight time for service time on the airplane, and then back on the 141.
So when instruction was $5 an hour, wasn't it then?
Airplane, $5 an hour wet.
Yeah. I paid 3.
$5 an hour wet, with the instructor.
With control.
Well, it cost me extra.
Yeah.
I'd pay 10 now.
More for the instructor, I couldn't afford
Captain
$10.
Al Reinsdorf. That was the guy.
60s.
How many hours did he let you have in the 141, Sam?
There was the funny part. He was also the guy that checked out all the new first lieutenants, or second lieutenants that came into the system in the 141. And I had flown together using 150, 172, 182, and his 180 a whole lot. And occasionally we'd go out on a maintenance test flight. I'd fly the 141. So I had quite a few hours built up that way. So he'd get a brand new lieutenant in the left seat, and this guy couldn't find the runway, he couldn't find the airplane, he couldn't do anything. And he looked back at me and says, "Sergeant, you take orders?" "Yes, sir." "Sit down right here. Do exactly what I tell you to do." "Yes, sir." I greased about 3 of them on. He'd look around his lieutenant and say, "Okay, now I can just tell him what to do. What the hell's your problem?" He hated second lieutenants. It was a very easy airplane to fly. Oh, shit.
When you gonna buy the next plane, Sam?
Pardon?
You got your next plane lined up to buy?
I don't know yet.
You need to build a Panther.
Either that, or I'll upgrade my Cherokee to a newer, better Cherokee. So I gotta finish the Flybaby first.
Well, there you
We're
go.
working on another home built at the house.
Flybaby.
Yeah.
I might have a buyer for that if you ever want to sell it.
Well, the idea when I got it was to put it back together, make it right, and then flip it.
I know a guy, I know a friend of mine's a former flybaby owner. He's looking for one.
I'm a former flybaby owner, and they're a great little airplane.
Yeah.
And this one I'm going all the way through, and it's gonna be top notch when I'm finished. It'll be done in the spring. So we'll get together on that.
All right, let me know.
Because that was the idea behind it. To get that one flipped. Then I can upgrade my Cherokee. Anybody else got anything? Scare me?
Well, I worked with Sam a long time ago at EC, probably 50 years ago,
Yep.
and that was quite a crew you guys had over there.
It was some wild guys.
It really was.
How many planes you guys have back then at EC?
Oh gosh.
We had a bunch.
At one time, EC was the second largest Cessna dealer in the United States. They had an inventory of almost 40 planes at one time, new planes.
I did my first solo at EC
Yeah.
in 1977 in a brand new 77 172. It had 28 hours on it, I think.
They were sending us out to Wichita to ferry back the brand new airplanes.
Yeah, and you know, you look at the guys today, and they may be out learning for 80 hours before they even get a check ride. I think I had 62 hours, and I come to work one day, and the manager calls me in his office and says, "Here's an airline ticket to Wichita. You're going out to pick up an airplane."
And no radios in them. No
Well,
radios.
it was a 150, so it had a radio, but
You had a radio. The 172s we brought back had nothing on it.
the only thing is nobody told me anything. The fact that the single engines were 80 miles south,
Yeah.
and the Wichita map stopped at Wichita. So I got in the plane and said, "Well, fly northeast."
Which goes that way.
Northeast, I'll hit I-70 and then turn right towards Columbus.
There's a really big river that way somewhere.
Yeah.
Through that.
That's what we did. Yeah.
We've all done that.
Fly around water towers to get the name of
Those are gone.
Yep. We were bringing back, at one point,
There's not even smoke.
when Highway Patrol bought a whole bunch of new 172s, they run an outfit of gear with all the instrumentation radios, so we picked them up totally bare. I had to bring them back, absolutely nothing. That was a challenge. We got them here.
Well, the biggest thing, Sam, was hauling Coors beer back when you picked up.
Oh, yes.
All right, yeah, because you couldn't get it here.
When you had to open the door, crawl across all of the cases of beer to get to the cockpit.
Yeah.
Figure if we crashed, crash wouldn't kill us, we'll drown.
Electrical contract.
Electrical contractor, there you go.
Yeah,
Was that what
Mike
he-
Gossing,
Is that what EC stood for?
who was working with me, was bringing back a 172 and had just loaded up with Coors and had it in the co-pilot seat, the right seat. And as he was on final going into someplace in Indiana, one of the cans sprang a leak and started spraying him in the face. And he got on the ground, and you know what happened? He was ramp checked.
Oh, no.
Just covered with beer, ramp checked. I think they got a good laugh out of it.
For sure.
Tell about the one you brought back with the Clicos.
Oh, one of them, they were cranking out airplanes so fast in Wichita,
The can first.
they ran us out to the pickup point, threw us in the airplane, said go. I get all the way back to Columbus, and as soon as the airplanes hit the ground, you guys were refueling them, send them right back out with students. Fueler went up there and looked, started to stick his nozzle in the tank, and there's a whole row of Clicos over the top of the tank, and they're all even painted.
Oh, no.
The Clicos were even
Yeah,
painted.
they hadn't finished putting it together.
They went through the paint shop, flew out that way.
Well, I can't believe anybody on the way back, because there were several stops in a small plane coming back from Wichita. Nobody said, "What's this?"
That's good.
Nobody caught it till we got all the way back to EC.
Oh, my God.
There was also,
And one 172 came in the 100 hour. I noticed dents in the bottom of the wing. So we're looking up in there, found 2 bucking bars inside the wing.
oh, yeah. Yep.
And that was,
See, on a Kinger.
yeah, I found that too. So back at that time, they were cranking them out so fast, there was no quality control. The one 172 I was bringing back, they told me, run the tank dry and then switch tanks. So you know how much you got. I went dry, and I went down to reach for the thing, and I had the fuel in my There was no screw in it.
was the only
Okay.
close calls? Tell us about some more close calls.
Turbo Commander, right engine, did a full runway, full bore, no control over. And we're shooting the approach into OSU, minimums. And we got an engine that we can't do anything with. So, I went back to the boss and said, we're gonna shut one down, it's gonna be a little violent because this thing's running at full power. He said, well, whatever. Well, when you shut one down, you want to feather at full power on a Garrett. That airplane rocks and rolls. It scared the crap out of all of us. Once we got it feathered and everything straightened out, it was normal landing. But,
Which one did you shut down?
the right one.
The one that went full power,
Yeah,
but you had no control otherwise.
no control. You can move the throttle. Oh, I got one. Just remember that one. From EC with Doc Holliday. Remember Doc?
No, I've heard the name.
Okay, he went to FAA over in Pittsburgh. Out of P. Navajo, serial number 5. Hadn't flown for a long time. We got it running, and Frank Webber said, take it out, fly around a little bit, because I had been through the P. Navajo school, and check it out. We blast out of here. Beautiful, beautiful day. Going through 7,000 feet over Zanesville. This engine just goes, dies. Goes right to feather, all on its own. Oh, that's interesting. Doc reaches up and grabs the throttle on the other engine, and it's just moving back and forth and doing nothing. It disconnected from the fuel control on that engine. So we had one dead and one running this cruise power. That's all we had. Back around, lined it up. He said, when do you think we ought to shut it down? I'm thinking real close to the end of the runway.
Yeah, really. Somewhere at the end of the runway.
Pulled the mixture, it quit. We rolled till we got the nose wheel just off in the grass at the other end.
Well,
Frank
thank
Webber.
goodness it was nighttime.
Fortunately, it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. Called Frank. Frank says, I'll be right over. He grabs a 172, comes over, we look over what's going on the right engine. It was before the AD came out to use a ball link on the throttle. It had the old clip-ons.
Yeah, came loose.
We put that back on there and safety wired that thing down. Looked over here on this engine and it had blown an oil line off to the unfeathering pump. Capped that thing off, filled it back up with oil, got it started, flew it back. It's a hell of a for a year and a half before anybody touch it. No one go near it. I think if anything else.
New airplane was the first.
Every time I got in an airplane on dock, something happened though.
Makes sense.
Don't get in an airplane with Doc.
Kind of like getting out of Angel.
210. Taking out on a test flight. Put the gear up. Worked fine. Put the gear down. Nothing. Okay, go through the procedure. Pull the breaker. Pump, 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 pump. Nothing. We're thinking now we're going to land this thing gear up. It's a solenoid in the back behind the pedestal that wasn't clicking in. They open the door so you can get the gear out. The customer's waiting for the airplane. So Doc says, what are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? He says, we'll fly and run out of gas, I guess. I said, well, I know about what's wrong. That solenoid's not making contact, so we can't get the doors open. We're not going to get the gear down. So I think if I beat on the thing, maybe we can knock it down. I don't have anything to beat on it with. Doc reaches over and grabs the armrest on that chair and pulls it off. Hands me the armrest, says, beat it with this. Beat the crap out of it. Of course, we'd already pulled all the plastic off there so we could get to the pump. Beat the crap out of it. Of course, then the gear comes down and locks. We come back in and land. Taxi up, and this guy runs out to see his airplane. See it's all done. His armrest tore off his chair. All the plastic around the column's all gone. He wasn't a happy camper.
See how you feel about that prop and the belly leaning.
Well, that's what we told him. So that's where that one went. But like I say, every time I got in an airplane with Doc, something happened.
Yeah.
Doc was kind of known for that.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see, he was a helicopter pilot, and he crashed a helicopter, and he had one eye.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what all that was wrong then, is depth perception was just
yeah,
a little.
Yeah, that's all.
Power lines, I think. Didn't he, Sam?
he was in the Cardinal that went in. Yep. Student took a Cardinal, Fort Wayne. Got in bad weather, parked the airplane, called back here, and said, you know, can't get back. What can we do? Well, Doc and who was it? Went with him. Can't remember who went with Doc. They jumped on 172, flew up there, grabbed Jim Rings' jets, got up there. The guy that went with him flew the 172 back. Doc and the kid got in the Cardinal, flew back here. Now they're going to shoot the approach back into Fort Columbus. What they didn't realize is they got the jets, everything's fine. He's going to shoot the ILS. He had a localizer, or excuse me, he had a localizer but no glide slope. So the needle was just right there. They thought they had a glide slope. They descended right into the trees, right about the outer marker. We get a call from the tower. He says, hey, you guys looking for a Cardinal? Yeah. He said, we just lost him on radar right at the marker. I know about where that's at, so we jumped the car and drove out that way. Get out there and it was Dr. Plotnick, Donnie Plotnick's place. We get out there and I said, Donnie, because I knew the guy, we're looking for, he said, I know, we're already saddling on horses. We get out there and all the way out to Jim Ring saying, they got my Jeps, they got my Jeps. He says, I hope they don't burn my Jeps. Well, they're out there burning the Jeps. If somebody can see them.
Signal fire.
One of the FAA fellas that showed up, Donnie put them on horses, and this was a black fellow, nice guy, but he wasn't too sure about horses. So we're trekking out there, we get to the crash site, they're just sitting there burning jets, they're okay. The airplane's pretty well tore up, they're okay. We look around, this guy's not there. Where is he? We don't know, can't find him. Pretty soon he comes wandering out of the bushes over here somewhere. He's got all kinds of burrs and stuff all over his hair and all over him. The horse threw him, he didn't know where the hell he was, so he just walked to the fire.
You got any stories about Raleigh, Bailey?
None he can tell.
None
in
he
here.
can tell.
This is about Sam, not Raleigh.
Nope, Raleigh's got the fastest airplane around here.
I can relate to the gear not coming down.
Oh,
Had
yeah.
a couple of that.
Had that. Fortunately, I wasn't with you.
And he still paid umpteen thousand to have it done, take it over to Illinois, and they didn't fix the problem.
Didn't still
And he belly landed it again.
I was here.
Tell stories out of school. I said, you know, the first time I said, do you want to feather those props so we don't have to tear them down? He said, no, run them right into the pavement. So that's the way that was. Yeah. Unless I didn't mention any names.
Okay.
I think we did.
Yeah.
Great job, Sam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Well deserved, Sam.
All right, Sam's buying breakfast for everybody.
Plenty of donuts in there, guys. Plenty of donuts.
Sure got socked in later. Look at that fog.